Hi, thank you all for being here. We are going to talk to you today about medical medium, and we are on episode 10.
Double digits.
Woo! This is going to be another foundational episode for our podcast channel, and a lot of what we're going to be talking to you about is related to medical medium and medical medium information.
If you've been following along, a lot of what we've already talked about is about medical medium information. It just really goes to show what he means to our lives and what the information has done for us.
Yes, definitely. So we wanted to put out this episode for people to be able to refer back to for more context.
And so we're going to go through some of the basics, like we said, foundational stuff, but staying true to what we like to do in this podcast series so far is tell some stories. So we'll interweave some stories and have a whole section planned out at the end for them. So make sure you stick around for that.
So who is medical medium? Medical medium is a man named Anthony William, and Anthony hears a voice outside of his ear called Spirit of Compassion, or SOC for short. And SOC is said to be a very high-ranking soul who sits at the fingertip of God. And SOC started talking to Anthony when he was 4 years old, when he diagnosed his grandmother with breast cancer at the dinner table that night. And SOC has been helping him diagnose and heal people through various foods and supplements for over 50 years now. And Anthony has so much experience and so much information that he's put it into books, and he started that journey in 2015, and at this point he has 8 books out. So there's millions of people around the world like ourselves who are enthusiastically promoting him and his healing material without any sort of sponsorship or a reason to do so other than they know this material is going to help people heal because they've experienced that healing themselves. And if you read the foreword in any of his books, it seems like half of Hollywood is following his protocols.
So let's jump into the story about how medical medium came into our awareness and our lives. And that story starts with me being very sick. And this is something that I'll go into more detail someday. It's possible maybe I'll write a book because I have a whole book of information to share based on my experience. But the gist of it was that I had very aggressive fistulizing Crohn's disease, it was called. And as a 6'3" tall male, I was down to under 120 pounds in so much pain every night. I couldn't even make it 20 feet to the bathroom, and reached a point where I literally prayed for death. And as soon as I prayed for death that one night in particular, I got song lyrics that dropped into my head, and they said, "There's no glory in defeat." And I was like, all right, I understand what that means. But I mean, the amount of pain I'd been in for the amount of time, it was rough to accept it. But I did, and I just sat up in bed and just pushed through the pain. I was like yelling, like, and just made it through another night. And the days weren't as bad for whatever reason. And the next day I was, they're still bad. I was a skeleton, slowly, barely moving through the house. Had to sit on a stool in the kitchen because I couldn't just stand at counters and stuff. But anyways, we were part of 2 different online financial forums, and we had been at this point for almost a year, I'd say. And it was something that we check every single day, and every single day it's the same stuff about the same stuff. It was mostly cryptocurrency. And so all of a sudden, like right after that night of me praying for death, discussions break out in both forums. And both of these forums are unaffiliated from each other. And people in both forums are starting to talk about medical medium and how his information has helped them. And so I noticed that as a synchronicity. I was like, what are the odds that at this moment in 2 different unaffiliated places that we're part of, people are talking about the same subject? So I started to have a look at what this medical medium stuff is all about. And one of the first things I found was him talking about natural flavors, which is just something I've always been curious about. I have a marketing background, and so I've always been curious, like how much of this natural flavor stuff is marketing or what's going on with this here. So he was talking about how anything natural flavors is MSGs and that it's bad for our brains and it's addictive and just no bueno, basically. So here's where my attention was really caught. One of those financial forums that we were in was run by a single lady who gets guidance at night from her guides about cryptocurrency, and she shares it every single day. And like I said, we'd been in this room for almost a year, and it has been 100% cryptocurrency, and that's it. Literally, the day after I learned about MSGs and natural flavors, she gets a message and she shares it. She said, "I'm not sure who needs to hear this, but my guide said that MSGs are indeed bad for you." And I was like, whoa, like they just came through her for me. That's wild. And I'm just like a screen name in her long list of, I don't know, definitely over 100 people. So she doesn't know me or anything. It was just really wild how that happened. So that's how I got clued in to this being a thing. And so I started reading more and eventually got on the angel board about it, and the angels confirmed. They said that medical medium will heal my fistulas and encouraged me to follow the path. And so we put some of his most basic tools to use, one of those being celery juice in the morning, cutting out certain foods, eggs, dairy, gluten. I'll get to all that later in the episode, but within the first week, I went from being bedridden to 4 days later, I pushed a lawnmower around the yard. And, that was a little bit me being stubborn. I wasn't doing it with ease, and I had to sit down and take a breather here and there. But, there's no way I was doing that 4 days before. So to me, it was a massive improvement.
And in the first 2 weeks, I was able to get off of half of my blood pressure medication. At first, I didn't realize what was going on, but I was feeling dizzy. And so I took my blood pressure and it was too low. And so I started getting off my meds at that point.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. And it was really rapid. And then in the years since, she's come off, it's been slowly throughout it, but she's come off the rest of her blood pressure meds since then. So that's the story of how we were introduced to medical medium. Let's jump into some of the basics.
So as we mentioned, he has 8 books out. So obviously, whatever we say here today is really just scratching the surface of that material. But we wanted to give you the underlying premises of what his information is built on. So the reasons that Anthony says that everyone is sick are due to pathogens and heavy metals. Pathogens are bacteria and viruses.
So how do we heal from the pathogens and heavy metals? We stop feeding them, with their primary foods being eggs, dairy, and gluten, and then we kill them and we remove the metals, both of which are done with various foods and supplements that will differ from person to person depending on what they're dealing with. And then we also cleanse the body. And Anthony, the medical medium information, offers various cleansing options that you can choose from, none of which involve fasting, but all are very highly effective and safe for the body.
And he has a whole book dedicated on that called Cleanse to Heal.
And we could go on and on and on about talking about alkalizing the body, hydrating, lowering fats, bringing in clean carbs, etc., etc., etc. But all of the information is in the books. He also has a free website with tons of information and YouTube videos, and he's on all the social media channels. And he doesn't really put a paywall in front of all this stuff. You can get the books free at the library, but there's so much information out there that we've found people in today's society in general, a lot of them are too busy. Many of them are not sick enough to care. And then there's the ones who are too sick to go read 8 books. And so that's where we come in and why we offer our nutritional consults, because we can really help you navigate the medical media material. Having been through most of it ourselves and having it at our fingertips, we are really fast and efficient at navigating it. Our consults, we work with you through email both before and after, and then we talk about things during a session. And so what we send you in the emails is very specific books and page numbers and blog posts and YouTube videos and things that apply to exactly what you have going on, so that you don't have to just rummage through all the material yourself trying to find what is most applicable to you in your sickest, darkest times. And so Sophia and I working together is nice because, we both are skilled in both of these things, but when we sit down in a consult with you, I'm typically the one who is more mental and articulating things from my mind and putting it in a clear way.
And I'm usually the one who's more in tune with what's in the energy field of the person and with spirit. And if there's something present there that wants to make itself known that would help them heal, which often happens in our consults.
Yeah, Sophia sees different food pop over people's shoulders and stuff that could help them, just for example. And so Spirit told me a while back that the people that would be coming to Sophia and I are chronically ill people who have already tried everything else. And so if that's you or somebody you know, please send them our way. It'd be an honor to help you. We're very passionate about this information.
Yes, we are. We live it every day. And Spirit also told me that medical medium is for the chronically ill. And this is something that medical medium says himself all the time. So if you'd like support healing with diet and nutrition, visit us at our website, healwithaspenroots.com, to set up a nutritional consult. Or if you'd like more support, we offer a daily support as one of our higher Patreon tiers, and you can visit us at patreon.com/aspenroots.
All right, let's jump into some of Sophia and I's personal stories around the medical medium information. Sophia and I have many, many stories that fit the bill of divine guidance around medical medium information, so we're only going to tell you a handful here. I'm sure many others will be told in other episodes. And we've gotten a lot of divine guidance around medical medium information being applied to other people in our lives. So we'll probably do a dedicated episode on just that at some point. So I'll jump into my first story here, and I'm going to save my favorite one for last. So stick around for that one. But the first one here is the lemon balm story. Lemon balm is an herb that we buy in a tincture form from a company called Vimergy. Has no other undisclosed added ingredients, and it can be used to heal your asthma. So I learned this by reading, studying the medical medium information, and what I was doing is I was taking one dropper full of lemon balm sometimes. And so I was given a very powerful, realistic dream where Anthony himself came to me and he visited me, and he kind of made fun of like a line of thought that I'd been exposed to with other mentors around just doing what your heart says. And he does like to poke fun at different things if you watch his YouTube and stuff, which is something I personally find hilarious. And so in this dream, he did that, and he said, you want to stop doing this? And he made the motion of an inhaler being puffed into his mouth. And he said, you can't just take lemon balm whenever your heart feels like it. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And he hooked me up to a blood, like a machine in the dream. I don't think this is like a real machine, but in the dream, it was a machine that read what was in my blood. And he was explaining and showing me that I need to keep lemon balm in my blood at all times to get the healing effect for asthma that I was looking for. And then the dream transitioned to a pillow, and he put a bunch of money under a pillow on a bed. And so I took that to be like, there's value of lemon balm helping me sleep, because lemon balm calms the nervous system, and that would help me have better sleep through the night. So since then, I was told separately by my guides that in 3 to 5 years, I can cure my asthma using lemon balm. So I'm currently on that journey and looking forward to that coming true in 3 to 5 years.
And my first story I want to tell is my cucumber story. So I had a dream where there were cucumber sticks walking, and they kind of were like little cartoon characters. They had top hats and canes. And I was like, that's really interesting. Okay. And I figured it was a medical medium dream, but I kind of was slow to catch on. So a couple of weeks later, I had another dream where there was cucumbers in the dream. And I was like, okay, I really know now for sure that this is guidance that I need to incorporate cucumbers into my life. And so I was doing my 2 cucumbers a day, which is what medical medium recommends. But I wasn't being consistent with it until one day I drove by our local thrift store, and I love our local thrift store. And I usually stop and look in the window to see what's there. And lo and behold, I get out of my car and I stop and I look down, and there is an English cucumber, no joke, wrapped, sitting on the ground. There was no one else there, and it wasn't punctured or anything. It was the weirdest yet most synchronistic thing of Spirit laid a cucumber at my feet. And so I really, at that point, 3 is the magic number, right? Got the message that, okay, Sophia, it's time to really incorporate cucumbers into your diet as a way of life. So I find that one pretty funny. Going into my next story, the divine told me in my dream that this path that we're on with the medical medium information and spreading the word to others and helping others heal, as well as helping ourselves heal, is an important mission, and the divine sees it as such. And they wanted us to know that it's important to them that we heal, and it's important to them that others heal with this medical medium information.
And so they were encouraging us to get the message out there, which is what we're doing with this podcast. But you telling that story reminds me, you were told something the other night in your dream. Do you remember that? About this diet and us being like married to it or something?
Yes. These are the exact words of the dream. Brandon and I are involved in a holy matrimony of holy foods. We are married under this covenant of God of healing foods.
I heard that in the morning. I was like, what a fancy way of saying you guys are eating good.
And then later in the night, I actually wrote this down too. I am married to my food. So Spirit really wanted to drive home that message. The important ones they will repeat, which is what I've noticed over the years. And the more important it is, the more often they will repeat it until I get it. Okay, the next story I have for you guys is about wild blueberries. So medical medium speaks very highly of wild blueberries, and they are part of our daily diet. But in this dream I had, it was around the 1800s, and I was sitting at a table with a bunch of very wealthy people. And it was said that those who eat wild blueberries will be the most powerful people in the world. And so I was really struck by this dream because it was like it actually happened, like I was actually there. And so I just wonder if this is information that was known in that time, or if it was just a profound way of the divine confirming the message that Medical Medium delivers about wild blueberries. My next story is about lemon water, and Medical Medium speaks very highly about lemon water. He encourages everyone to incorporate it into their diet daily, especially in the morning. So I have gotten so many dreams about lemon water, but I was specifically told that lemon water will help heal my high blood pressure. So that's really motivating for me to continue to do that. I've also had a dream where I was pouring copious amounts of lemon water into the trash. So it was like flushing out all the trash or all the toxins in my body. So these were really vivid dreams and really poignant messages for me to help heal my chronic illness, and it's really working.
Now I'll tell my Archangel Metatron and B12 story. So one of the most important supplements you can take, according to the Medical Medium information, is vitamin B12, and specifically with methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin. I hope I said those right. I think I did, but I used to not even attempt it. It's a mouthful, especially when you're learning it. But when I read in the books about B12 and then saw in his YouTube videos B12 being one of the most important ones, I was like, oh, well, I got some B12 sitting around in the cabinet, and it was these like little like tablets that I was taking, and who knows, they're probably even expired. But I got this very real, vivid dream where I went to a doctor's appointment, and I was talking with a nurse, a male nurse who had his back to me while he was rummaging through a cabinet looking for something. And he stops rummaging and he turns around and he goes, "Do you know Archangel Metatron?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know Archangel Metatron. He's said to be the leader of all the archangels." And the nurse says, "Well, he's telling me that you're taking the wrong kind of B12. So that's when I went to the company again, Vimergy, and found their dropper full, and now I take my B12 every morning and also before bed in liquid form with the methylcobalamin and adenosylcobalamin.
And our guidance doesn't just apply to humans. I've actually gotten many dreams about our dog Rossi and guidance for things that will help him heal. Most recently, what's come through is guidance about apples. So in the first dream, Rossi ate a half a jar of applesauce. And I was like, okay, well, I think Rossi needs applesauce in his diet. So I incorporated it, but very little, because at first he wasn't used to it. And like 2 nights later, I was eating an apple in my dream, and I gave the other half to him. So I was like, okay, I will, increase the applesauce. This is something Spirit really wants me to know that Rossi needs. And then like a week went by and I had a third dream, and they were saying that applesauce is good for Rossi's liver, and it was helping him heal something in his liver. So now he eats an apple a day and he got used to it at first. He was a little resistant, but now he scarfs it down. So that's great.
To be clear, we mix it into a smoothie with a bunch of other stuff, so it's not just eating an apple by itself.
Yes.
Although, if he's super exhausted from being out snowmobiling with him, that's when I'll see him just eat apples by themselves. So when there's no other option out in the backcountry, he'll accept it.
Yeah, for sure. And in his smoothie is also wild blueberries or wild blueberry juice, because that was something that came through in my dreams from Spirit. And again, they had told me to put wild blueberries in his food, and then that I wasn't doing enough wild blueberries. So they came through again in the dreams telling me more and showing me more. So he now gets a cup of wild blueberries every day, or 1 ounce of juice. That's the equivalent. And as well, he gets celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach, because that is something that Spirit told me that will help him heal his liver, and is really giving him those mineral salts he needs as well. So all of this has come through guidance. And really, I'm so thankful for it because he's like our child. So, I can't say enough how thankful I am to Spirit for delivering these messages, and I'm happy to listen and happy to help him. And I ask for them every night. We actually have some written prayers above our bed, and that's one of the things that remains there is because Rossi cannot speak himself. I ask my guides that Spirit deliver those messages to me that he wants me to know or that they want me to know so that I can help improve his life and his health.
And that's everything we do from divine guidance, but based on just studying the medical medium information, he's getting lots of supplements recommended by medical mediums. So he gets ashwagandha and B12 and zinc and some other stuff, vitamin C, but yeah, other things depending on if he seems to be fighting a sickness or not. So
Right, yeah.
yeah, he's a medical medium puppy.
Yes, he is.
Okay, before I jump into my last story here, I just want to make a quick point that I really drove home in some of the previous episodes. That being that doing some of the medical medium information we've been told through different divine messages helps increase our psychic senses. So I think that applies to everybody if you're interested in that. And so my last story needs a little bit of an intro here. And so the intro is that following medical medium information is difficult. It's a commitment. For me, it was also a massive change, and it's a lot of work. It's also can be expensive, and just, every day waking up and going to the juicer and making celery juice, and it's a lot of work. So I was reading about matrix energetics, which is a healing system where the sky seems to have miraculously instant results in people. At least how, it's portrayed through the books and what I saw on YouTube and stuff. And so I was praying to Spirit one night before bed. I said, okay, Spirit, can you show me a different way to heal? I'm tired of doing all this medical medium stuff. Can you show me a way that's fast and simple and easier and cheaper and blah, blah, blah? And that was my prayer before bed. And I was given a very realistic dream where, again, Anthony himself shows up and meets me, and we get into a fist fight, but we agreed to keep all the punches below the neckline. So we get into this fist fight, and Anthony wins. He beat me up. And so I interpreted that part of the dream to be, if I want to fight doing this medical medium information, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose the fight. I've been sick enough for long enough to the point where I really need this information. I fell into the point of being a chronically ill person. And so it's good motivation for me, but the dream continued. And so then I'm in a hotel and I'm playing a game of poker. And it was a poker tournament and I was doing really well. And as soon as it got down to 3 people left, the game ended. And we all split the pot, and all 3 of us were like first place winners, basically. And so the way I interpreted that part of the dream is a hotel can be more than this depending on what floor of the hotel I'm on. But in this dream, we were in the lobby. And so a hotel for me is a temporary stay. And then a game of poker is a game of strategy. And then the whole aspect of not having to get all the way to first to get first place, I put this together as this very strict strategy that I'm taking is temporary. It won't have to be this way my entire life. And I just need to get far enough to have won my battle of being a chronically ill person. And that's good enough. That's a win. And so that's where I'm at in my journey. And I am forever completely motivated by this dream. I'll never forget it. I'll never lose motivation for it. And I'm thankful for it. So if you're in the same boat and feeling the same way, hopefully that dream can be inspiration for you too, because
Because it is so much work, but then again, the reward of feeling better and living your life, actually living and not being on Mattress Island, essentially, and not being able to do anything is worth the work and is worth the journey, worth the money. And you feel so much better. I mean, living life is really about how you feel, or else are you really living, or are you just getting by?
exactly. Okay, now it's time to wrap this up with our soulful send off. Medical medium information is the long game. It's not an overnight fix. You're not going to take a pill and be done. But as Sophia was just saying, it's worth it. It's worth it not only because of physical feelings, but it's healing like emotional stuff. It's healing anxiety. It's helping me feel grounded, more confident, brighter, have more light. It's kind of an all encompassing healing modality. And it's also what I found, and I spoke about this in the last episode on energy healing, that medical medium information is the other end of the spectrum when I talk about full spectrum healing. So you can approach health from the subtle energies, the energy stuff, but it also needs to be approached from the physical. And so that's really where medical medium information comes in my life. He does offer meditations and some of the subtle energy stuff, but my main focus really is on the physical stuff with him, personally speaking. And for me, he's picked up where other healers have left off. Before I knew his information, I'd go to healers for the symptoms I was having, and I never really healed just approaching it from the energy side. And I'd get things like, oh, they're saying that pain in your lower right abdomen it's an ancient wound. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that doesn't help me, and it's not making me feel better. So, I start approaching it from the medical medium information, and medical mediums like, that's a bacterial infection, and you can heal it with celery juice and these foods and getting rid of these other foods. And listening to that actually did heal it. And so it's really the missing piece of the puzzle for me, for somebody who's just focused on healing through energy work. I really needed to approach it both ways, and that's where this medical medium information picks up. And I actually have a bonus story for you guys that just came to mind. 2 years before I learned about medical medium information, when I was pretty sick and in the hospital for 9 nights, shortly after that, this is when I was trying to heal everything just from the energetic side of the spectrum. I saw a healer, and not too long after I got out of the hospital, where I met with a dietitian who told me that eggs were one of the healthiest things I could be eating. And so I got a healing from a healer, and at the end of it, I asked him, is it okay for me to be eating eggs? Because this dietitian said that I couldn't eat too many eggs. I loved eggs. I'd have them a lot as it was, and I figured if it was that healthy for me, that I would have them even more. So I, checked in with this healer, and he said, funny that you mentioned eggs, because eggs came to mind toward the end of your healing. And I was like, well, does that mean I should or I shouldn't eat them? And he said, use your intuition on that one. And I just want to say, if there's any healers out here listening, that telling one of your very sick clients to just use their intuition is kind of like telling a blind person to just look at it. I was in a world of pain and confusion with so many different voices and people telling me to do different things, and I was not really connected to my intuition in any sort of confident way. And so my suggestion to any healers, if you're in a similar situation and a client asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, just say, I don't know. And maybe say, I don't know. If the answer comes to me, then I'll be in touch with you. Because then being told to use my intuition, but just being in a world of confusion, it's kind of like, well, what's wrong with me? I don't know the answer. So I ended up eating a ton of eggs, which is the number one food that medical medium says to cut out. So that's just pretty funny. He says that on average, people eat like 350 eggs a year or something like that, because eggs are in everything. And I was having 5 eggs every day for breakfast, sometimes for lunch, and sometimes in my dinner. And so I was able to do the math and calculate that I was having between 2,000 and 3,000 eggs a year, way above average. And it's no wonder that I got so much sicker. I was barely maintaining for those 2 years, despite all the energy work I was doing. I think that's why I was able to maintain, but also why I ended up so much sicker 2 years later was from all the eggs. So it was a big change for me to cut that food out of my life. But all of it was a big change for me. I ate like crap, just pizzas and double stuffed Oreos, and I could just go on and on and on and on. But if I can do it, you can do it. And here's the thing that happened for me, and it's come up in conversation with others, is what if you don't like the new healing foods? Well, your body will change. That's the cool thing. And medical medium talks about this. But I used to like have a involuntary gag reflex if you put a tomato near me. Now I love tomatoes. I used to hate spice. I couldn't handle any level of spice. Now I love hot spicy peppers. And those are just some examples. So the bottom line here is, again, if I can do it, you can do it. So the last thing I want to say in the Soulful Send-Off is that medical medium is such a blessing in the way that he puts this information out there as readily and easily accessible as possible. If he wanted to put paywalls around his stuff and charge lots of money for tickets to events and this and that, he could absolutely do that. He has a massive following at this point. So many people around the world have healed with his information that it wouldn't be hard for him, but he refuses to do it, which just really touches my heart. So the point I'm getting at is that you can buy his books, or they're free at the library. But if you're not ready to read books, or even if you are reading the books, what I do for every symptom and every food or supplement is I will do an internet search, whether it's Google or whatever other search engine you use. I would put in medical medium and then insert a symptom or a food. So like medical medium potatoes, or medical medium vitamin B12, for example, or medical medium Crohn's disease. These are just examples, any of them. And chances are he probably has a free blog post about it, which is awesome. It's not like reading a whole book. And usually at the end of the blog post, it lets you know which of the 8 books you can go to get more information. And you can also listen to his YouTube videos. If you're a podcast person, you can listen to his podcasts. If you're on social media, he's on all of them. You can follow him on any of the social media platforms. He just has all these free ways to get some really profound, useful, healing information out there. And if you're interested, that's what I suggest you do to start learning.
And this was also my missing piece of my healing journey. I was also seeking healers out, hoping to heal my high blood pressure. And the immediate response that I got from following this diet really blew my mind in a lot of ways. So it is about the full spectrum healing. And for me, when I saw my lab results change, that's like hardcore proof that this is working. And so I just want to spread that word that this is such a healing path and a way to heal chronic illness. And also during one of our healings I was giving, which is how we approach healing from the other end of the spectrum, which you can learn more about in our last episode, episode 9. I had taken a sip of celery juice during the healing because I was so thirsty. And I saw the celery juice enter my body as light codes. So because I saw that, I believe so much more in what these healing foods are doing for us. And also my own angels and guides are confirming what Anthony is saying. So there's so many pieces that have been brought together to really affirm that this is the healing way if you are suffering from chronic illness, or if you just want to be your best in whatever way you can.
Yeah, Sophia talked about the lab results and stuff, and she works in the lab, and we've been able to have our blood read from time to time throughout this journey, and things have just cleared up dramatically. One of the big ones for me is blood oxygen level. And so as a chronic asthmatic since 7 years old, I was constantly reading between 87 and like 93, maybe the highest 96% blood oxygen levels my whole life until recently. Now that we're a few years into strictly following medical medium information, and I was reading 99 and 100%. And Sophia and I live up at elevation, so a lot of nurses would be alarmed by my blood oxygen level, and I'd say, oh, that's normal for me. Other ones would be like, well, we're up at elevation, so it's normal to have lower blood oxygen level at elevation and yada yada. But here we are at elevation, and I'm reading 99, 100, and it's just another thing to keep me motivated and keep me on my path. Thank you for joining us in this episode, and I would encourage you, whether you're healthy or not, to look into this, because it's totally a preventative measure if you want to approach it that way. And if you don't, no worries, no pressure, no judgment, and we're here if you need us.
And we want to thank all of our supporters on Patreon,
and as well as the financial supporters we have here on Spotify now.
Yes, and we couldn't put out this free content without all of you.
So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Every week, we share our most recent divine guidance in an audio recording called Oracle Offerings. Sign up for only $5 a month at patreon.com/Aspen Roots.